Hello and welcome to How's That? Good to have you, Vijay, as always, my friend and colleague over a number of years. And lovely to welcome Rakesh Rao, who is Chief of Sports Bureau with the Hindu and Sports Star in Delhi. Nice to have you here, Rakesh.
Thank you so much, Raj, for having me on this show. It's an absolute pleasure being here.
Yes, good to have you on the show, Rakesh. After having spent 25 years or maybe about 20 years with you in the office, this is the first time I'm chatting with you on a computer. So.
Close to 30 years, Vijay. Makes it 29 years to be precise.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah. It's a good platform for all three of us. Yeah.
Rakesh, I must tell you that yesterday when we were wrapping up How's That and we mentioned that you are going to be on the show today, Vijay said he was looking forward to chatting with you because you know so much about IPL. You have followed it seriously and you know the trends even before they happen. How did you get the crystal ball that so many of us wish to get?
Oh, well, Raj, let me tell you, this is not rocket science. This is not something that, a lot of people will have to, rack their brains to get it right. What I've been doing is I've been getting it right more often than not. The only reason being that I try to look beyond cricket when I'm watching IPL. Okay, let me be very honest here. I was following a kind of there was a kind of a tutorial by a chess grandmaster by the name of Nakamura, Hikaru Nakamura from the USA. Now, he said that life is about patterns. Chess is also about patterns. And if you see a certain phenomenon, you have to watch the pattern. So I don't know why this word got stuck. When you are puzzled by a certain pattern, then you try to look for reasons to maybe reinforce it or maybe to make sure that you don't, tread that path again. So I wanted to be very clear on this. So the more I got into it, I realized that, yes, there is a definite pattern to it.
Rakesh, you have held our attention and both Vijay and I have been listening to what you've got to say. In fact, I would like you to continue a little bit more and elaborate on what you're saying already.
Just look at the schedule of matches. That is, just focus on match number 56, 55 and 56, which usually takes place on the last day of the league. That means there are 4 teams engaged on the last day of the league. Now, if you see the pattern here, which I had just mentioned, that normally team number 1 and team number 8 gets decided pretty much in advance. So you know that at least one team is already through. That cannot come between 5 and 8. That will remain between 1 and 4. Now, the moment team number 1 gets decided, team number 8 almost gets decided. Now, over a period of time, 2 and 7 will get decided. Then 3 and 6 will get decided. Now, this 4 and 5, that's what I'm trying to just get at. 56 and 57, match number 55 and 56 will usually throw up the team which is going to come 4th. Now, that is the point of interest. But on the last day, one team beat the other, that is A beat B to go clear. Otherwise, there would have been a 3-way tie on the last day. That didn't happen. But if you just look at the score, if you just look at the table, you'll find, well, that is quite clear. There's no, logjam there. But it could have been there if only one result had changed. So otherwise, you'll see things getting decided on the last day. So that is what I've been saying. So what I do is, first thing what I do, I look at the schedule of matches. That is my first pointer. Now, this is another trend which I would just want to highlight, that in IPL, if you go back and see closely, after the teams do well in the first half of the tournament, in the second half of the tournament, teams between 5 and 8 will start beating teams who are already placed between 1 and 4. This is quite surprising. This will happen. And this has happened in the past. Based on that experience, I repeated myself and I said, now this is likely to happen. God knows it actually happened. And I've been maintaining from day one, forget RR, forget CSK, forget every other team. there will be a race between SRH and KKR. Yes, it's always nice to have your, a certain perception. And when that comes clear and when that falls in place and everything according to that, of course, your ego gets a bit boosted. That's about it. Yeah.
Rajaram, you thought you knew IPL? Now, after listening to this thing,
discourse,
you were watching, you and I were watching IPL as minutely as this man, because I have known people from circulation and advertisement department coming to him and saying, Rakesh sir, kal kya hoga? So, out of curiosity, so this man will always say, and then I would wonder, yaar, ye to main bhi IPL cover kar raha hu. Only this man is getting right. So, Rajaraman, this is it. It is very fascinating, whatever study he has done and pattern which he talks of.
We'll get to that, Vijay. Rakesh spoke about rocket science. I don't know if it is rocket science, but it is really Rakesh science for sure.
It is.
Thank you for saying that. Absolutely. That's a new coinage.
You want to look at how IPL has panned out this time. We look at the quality of the contest itself, the quality of cricket itself. But I think we should also remember that IPL happened after a long break. For many cricketers, there was no cricket for 5 to 6 months. For them to come back and play the kind of cricket that some of them have played, I mean, who would have imagined the emergence of a Devdutt Padikkal on an IPL platform? Who would have imagined Ravi Bishnoi bowling brilliantly? Rakesh and Vijay, I would want to know what you think about the quality of cricket. I was quite surprised at the intensity of contest, at the level at which some of the players were able to showcase their talent and come very good and entertain everybody.
I want him to speak first, then I'll pick up the threads. Let him discuss. I want to listen from him what he feels about this IPL.
See, first of all, like Rajaram very rightly said that, yeah, this is a platform for a lot of youngsters, like people like me and you who have actually covered a good number of like domestic games. We do get to see them in action again in empty stadiums, but it's okay. But when you look at somebody like Devdutt or a Bishnoi and so many other guys, my question is, they look good here. Let me also tell you that moment the next series starts, you'll forget about these names. This is what we have seen over a period of time. We have had so many people, the Jakartas of this world, or you say, a lot of these guys. There was one guy from that Swapnil Asnodkar. Now, all these guys looked good. I mean, right from 2008 onwards, if you look at the names there. But where are these guys now? Right? So what I'm trying to say is there'll be a lot of names will be lost in the wilderness. Maybe we don't have the time to follow them, and maybe they don't live up to the expectations or the kind of hopes which they themselves have raised. And somewhere they lose their way. But I wouldn't read too much into this, but yes, this is a great platform for those who do well, and it's for them to go back and consolidate. They should get the opportunities, and then they should ensure that, because some of these names have stayed put and they have looked good. For example, somebody like Sanju Samson. Sanju has been doing well, but we first caught the eye in IPL. And thanks to somebody like Shane Warne, who could, mentor him to keep his head in place. So he performed for RR, not so much for Kerala. He did have, all those knocks, all right. But if you see the number of innings where he has failed, he hasn't quite done justice to his talent. His ball striking is amazing. Yes, but you don't get that wicket here. You don't get that kind of bowlers to face if Kerala is facing some of these bowlers. And again, we are also looking at somebody in white ball cricket. Now, red ball cricket is a different ball game, quite literally. So I don't read too much into it, beyond the point.
Rajan, there was one fun, if you remember, when KKR won the final first time, there was this guy called Manvinder Bisla, right? He was a toast of the cricketing fraternity that night. Everybody, I remember journalists lining up to talk to him. And then next season, he didn't have a Ranji Trophy team. So it is a learning lesson, I would say. There's a lot to learn for these youngsters, but I think there is competition to be enjoyed. So like he says, Rakesh says, don't read much into it. Enjoy. and forget next day. I mean, obviously, it's just, I mean, if you expect somebody to be hailed for a 4-over performance or a 35 runs of 20 balls, then I'm sorry. I think then your cricket also is very, I would say, skewed understanding of the sport. So now, I mean, I would like to know from you, what is your opinion?
Yeah. So I will take you guys back to Ravindra Jadeja. He played for Rajasthan Royals in that first season, and Shane Warne told everybody that this is going to be a superstar. And we have seen Ravindra Jadeja do well for the last 12 years or so. I'm sure that if given the right platform, given the right kind of encouragement, and if they keep their head on their shoulder, the two guys that I named, particularly Devdutt Padikkal and Ravi Bishnoi, two youngsters who caught my eye, and there is Kartik Tyagi. He did not pick up too many wickets, bowled well for Rajasthan Royals, can be quite nippy, is not afraid to bowl the bouncer at international class batsmen. I think these three cricketers, if they are groomed, they could be good investments for the future as far as Indian cricket is concerned. But that actually brings me to this point, Vijay, that if a Bisla is lost to Indian cricket, or if a Shadab Jakati is not known anymore, then it is Indian cricket's loss. I'm not saying they're the world's most gifted cricketers, but they needed to be talked to. Teams needed to nurture them, not just see them as use and throw material. One season you do well and then you drop. That is why I like a team like KKR. They have invested in youngsters even when they were injured. And I think Shivam Mavi is a very good example of somebody that they've invested in and sustained even when he was not fit. And I think that is what one likes to see. Invest in youngsters, show faith in them, and then perhaps they will give you the rewards in the long run.
They have not dropped from the sky, all the names. They've been in the radar. If you ask the junior selectors, they will give you these names. If you ask the senior selectors, they will give you these names because they are following a process. They've all been at the NCA. So Rahul Dravid knows them inside out. And all these zonal academies, they've seen these players. So they are a product of your beautiful, well-structured cricket, which the BCCI has organized. I mean, all these years. So I can't think of, you should correct me, Rakesh and Rajaraman. Has there been a cricketer who has played for India only and only because of IPL?
IPL is a part of the system, Vijay. And I think IPL is a platform where temperaments are tested, where you get to rub shoulders with senior cricketers, people from overseas. You get to learn from them. And I think you can get better cricketers. You can get better at your cricket because you're hobnobbing with established stars. And then you pick up the nuances from them of preparation, of training, of going into a match with a competitive mindset. Nobody needs to drop from the heavens, but IPL is a great platform. I'm not saying IPL is the only platform, but if you perform in IPL and you can actually show your temperament. You and I have been talking about Devdutt Padikkal, for example. I would be the most disappointed, Vijay and Rakesh, if Devdutt Padikkal doesn't go on to play for India and for a number of years. He seems to be languid. He has got the time to play his shot and is very mature in shot selection. And I think these are hallmarks of a youngster when it comes to selecting them or identifying talent. I think Devdutt Padikkal is a name to reckon with, will be a name to reckon with for some time to come.
But what about all that you have learned the years running into the IPL? That also you have been taught by some of the best coaches in India. Some of your best players, you get to play with them. So I will not accept this that you only learn to play or you learn from foreigners in IPL. No, I mean, there are many learning avenues for you. NCA is a learning avenue. The whole year, NCA is looking after you. Zonal cricket academies are there to look after you. IPL has its place, but I will not give more importance than it deserves because you make your money. That is good because IPL gives you the platform to look at a secure life, which is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Raj, I completely agree with what Vijay said. See, we need to understand one thing, that these guys whom we say that they were extremely talented, they have made their presence felt, they also need to understand that they are being challenged by a lot of youngsters who want to be in their shoes. They also want to show the world that, look, we are no less. If he can do it, so can we. So this kind of competition will always be there. and people will have to continue to perform. It's not just that you show that spark and thereafter you don't do enough. So I think that will always be there, which is a good sign. And if you can't stand up to it, as I say, it's the survival of the fittest. So you will die at some point. Your talent will only take you up to a point, but hard work has to be followed. If you don't have a discipline, you don't have the right temperament, if you don't have a cool head on your shoulders, and of course, you need to be mentored. That I feel is very important. People need to be groomed because people come from different backgrounds. Not everybody can be a KL Rahul or a Rahul Dravid or somebody like that. But these guys are groomed. You know that the first time you meet them, you know that they take their cricket differently. Of course, everybody takes it seriously up to a point, but these guys are groomed to be great cricketers. That's what I saw in the past. That's what I've seen now. So I want to see more of this kind of cricketers who show that they're good and they go on to make it big.
Right, Rakesh. There have been instances of wonderful cricketers not finding place in IPL. Somebody who was perhaps born to play white ball cricket, and I'm speaking here of Unmukt Chand, for example, Vijay. You have seen him as an under-19 cricketer, and then he's kind of lost. He's gone to play for Uttarakhand, didn't play a couple of games in Ranji Trophy this year. So the grooming becomes essentially a very important part for BCCI and for the state associations. I think if they don't care too much for the cricketers, if they don't give them the right kind of support and advice, and just treat them as employees and say that, okay, good luck to you. If you don't perform, we will dump you by the roadside. I think it's not going to augur really well. You have invested so much in youngsters, and somebody really needs to be accountable and ensure that some of these youngsters go on to play a higher level of cricket, Vijay.
Yeah, you're right about Unmukt Chand. He should have been playing regularly in the highest league. Somewhere he lost. I think lack of guidance, or maybe lack of form, lack of grooming, mentoring, a whole lot of things. And at the other end, I have nothing against him. There is a player called Pawan Negi. He's been playing every year, and he's played IPL regularly, and I would like to know why and how. What exceptional talent do the franchises see in him? So, yes, it's a platform. If you can utilize it, good for you. Unmukt had his chance. He didn't grab it. So he's languishing now.
Okay.
Yeah, see, because if you're talking about Unmukt, I think he's a prime example of people getting opportunities and those guys not making the most of it. I still remember there was a time when I was covering this match in Vijayawada, and Unmukt Chand came to MSK. And now this was a match between Delhi and MP. This was a Ranji Trophy quarterfinal game a couple of seasons ago. Now, he's so scared of approaching somebody like MSK, not because MSK has that kind of a personality. MSK is one of the most friendliest people that you'll ever meet, But he was a little scared. So the match referee happened to be there, Sharath from TN. He said, somebody is waiting for you. And then MSK had to call him. And then, we just moved away just to give that youngster that space that he could sit with the chief selector and have a word. After he left, I just happened to ask MSK what happened. He said he wanted to know why he's been kept out. I showed him all the scores. He just opened his laptop and showed him the number of opportunities he had got for India A. Now, he was one person whose name used to be written first when an India A team was being selected. First of all, number one, he was an opener. And so they would write Unmukt Chand and the rest of the names would just follow. He was a given. It was a certainty. Now, what did he do with that? That kind of faith which the selectors showed, the team, the state which he represented that pretty consistently without having the scores to back his presence in the team. So that is one example. And as Vijay very rightly said, now he's languishing.
Right. We'll get to IPL 2020, Vijay and Rakesh. And I hope that none of the youngsters that I spoke about, the three of them who stood out for me, Kartik Tyagi, a fast bowler, you've got Ravi Bishnoi, a leg spin bowler, and Devdutt Padikkal, and left-handed opening batsman. Three really young and talented cricketers. I hope they don't meet the same fate as some of the others. I hope there is the right kind of grooming. BCCI needs to take charge of some of this young talent that has come forth, not just in IPL, obviously they have come through the domestic ranks. They have played some domestic cricket, but BCCI really needs to step up and provide the right kind of support. We move to IPL 2020, Rakesh and Vijay. Let us look at a new trend that has emerged. For the first time, I heard a batsman say that the coach decides the batting order. It was Dinesh Karthik who spoke about Brendan McCullum, and it was in public. He said this at a post-match interview with the host broadcaster. And then we have seen instances of others also saying that it is the coach who decides the batting order. Now, this seems to be a little bit of a surprise to those of us from our generation that it is no longer the captain who makes the decisions. Rakesh, are you surprised? Have you noticed this earlier that it slipped from us and it needed an Ajay Jadeja to point out that some of the captaincy is now happening from beyond the boundary?
See, I am not totally surprised because the stakes are too high. See, the captain is doing his job on the field, but it is the coach who's doing most of the thinking. For example, Ricky Ponting, for one, if somebody tells me that he takes a call on most of the things that happens on the field, I won't be surprised at all because Ricky Ponting has been there, done that. Now, he would like to see certain things being carried out by Shreyas Iyer out there. Shreyas doesn't have to reinvent the wheel because Ricky Ponting knows exactly this is how it works with a certain individual, or when a team is going through a certain phase in the match, how they should deal with it. So that is where it is the mind of the coach that takes over. Now, when you talk about the batting order, obviously, because he wants to he wants to retain his place. He cannot just allow a young captain or a captain who thinks otherwise to overrule him, because after all, he's the captain of the ship. If you ask somebody like Anil Kumble is not just the director or the coach. He's been given total charge. Now, if the team doesn't do well, he can't say, look, I told them what I did, but the batting order was not to my liking. That is when the franchisee would say, listen, we gave you total control. Who stopped you from not putting a certain individual at number 1, 2, 3, 4 as per your choice? So this is what Ricky Ponting or someone like Brandon McCullum would do. Because they are professional cricketers, they are trying to prove their worth. They're being paid to do a certain job. So here, it is not like a national team where you have a certain hierarchy which will be followed. But this is franchisee cricket, and here it is definitely possible.
Vijay, you will remember speaking about this not being under 15 cricket, where the coach is dictating from outside. You said this when we had Ajay Jadeja on House That. And I think the coach's job really ends with preparation. It doesn't entail having to make decisions when a match is on. Cricket has been a captain's game, and I would like to believe that captains like Virat Kohli or an MS Dhoni, and even Rohit Sharma for that matter, would want to exercise control. I don't think Steve Smith would have let the coach there make decisions. Some of this is new to me. Some of this is surprising. I hope and pray that cricket remains a captain's game and that coaches, their job ends with the preparation level and doesn't continue when a match is on, Vijay.
But Rajaraman and Rakesh, in the last, 15 years, high-profile coaches have taken over cricket. If you see, yes, people talk of Greg Chappell or you talk of Buchanan, and then you have so many other coaches. I'm not able to reel them off the names now, but you must understand one thing, that in IPL, coach will play an important role because situation is changing so rapidly that the captain who is on the field is not able to think for everybody. I mean, there's a man outside, he's sitting with an analyst. There is a video analyst sitting with him, giving his inputs, and somebody's taking notes. The assistant coach is taking notes. So it is, when was cricket played through a laptop or a computer or a board? It was played here. I mean, you would go and take your own decisions. Captain would take, even now, captain is taking the decisions. But look at these strategic breaks. It is meant because the coach will come and give his inputs because he has watched it differently from outside. He gets a very big perspective of what is happening. You know, some field positions or some changes. We don't know, Rakesh and Rajaraman, how many times this input would have helped the captain. If we are just sitting outside and watching, we don't know. So there has to be some meaning to these strategic timeouts So coach will be important in matches where there is so much happening in a very limited time.
I think inputs are one thing, Vijay. I'm sure coaches have got input to give. And like you pointed out, watching a game from outside, you have a very different perspective. You perhaps have a 360-degree view from outside, and then you're influencing the captain and the players. There is no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, I think the responsibility and the buck will stop with the captain. It's going to be interesting to keep tracking what is happening there. Rakesh, your own views, though, on some of the brighter side of your own views on the brighter side of IPL this year. What are the standout performances that stay in your memory?
See, number one for me, as you said in the past also, I mean, like you have already mentioned it earlier on the show, that great to see some youngsters making the mark. For them, this opportunity wouldn't have been there. It is only because of IPL that we are talking about certain names here. They've been there, they've been playing their cricket for a long time. So youngsters getting that platform, that is for me the biggest takeaway. So that is why I watch with interest who is this guy, and I try to know more about the individual than I knew before the IPL. So yes, that is one. But if you speak about the trends here, for me, this particular edition of IPL, where before the tournament everybody said that, look, wickets are going to get slower, the spinners are going to play a bigger role, and the par scores on a lot of stadiums, for example, Sharjah, when it started in the first week or first 10 days, it used to be close to 190, 200. It fell to about 160. So that came true. So spinners had a major role. But in spite of that, the kind of wicket that we saw at all three venues, I was particularly impressed by the ability of bowlers like Rabada, like Jeffrey, or Jofra Archer. Now, these are the bowlers who were not necessarily taking wickets. They were making an impact. Sometimes you don't get wickets, it's okay. But once you get the ball, those 24 legal deliveries that you are supposed to bowl, the team is relying on you. Now the wickets are getting slower. The bowlers are, the batsmen are waiting for the ball to come on to the bat, and your pace allows the batsman that kind of pace. Despite that, despite the new challenges of the second half of the tournament, they were on the spot. Now this is, for me, education. When they make the ball chalk, even like that, Jofra Archer was magic for me. What he could do against quality opposition. Wicket wasn't helping him. It was, he could make that white ball swing at will, yes. But what about, the ball coming off the surface? He was fantastic. His lengths were perfect. He was hitting those hard lengths. Now, for people who want to actually see that, I think a lot of these guys contribute without even sitting there and preaching. Jofra Archer, for me, was masterclass. Rabada, with his attitude, and for me, when I heard him, I think this guy has matured. I've been seeing him for the last 2 seasons for sure. Last season, I had a chat with him, but this man looks different. In the last 18 months or so, this guy has matured, and the way he is contributing to the whole team. He speaks for DC. He doesn't speak for himself. For me, that was a takeaway, because here is a youngster who's telling people how to be. That is so important, because he is not taking any credit. He's being modest, yes, but he's supporting it with facts. He's not just trying to be just bare, simple, modest. No, that is what I want to see. That a lot of takeaways, not just on the field, off the field, how they conduct themselves. A lot of cricketers need to learn this. And a lot of these guys, as bowlers, as performers, who need not be in form for long, which is natural, but can they conduct themselves the way these guys have done? For me, that is one of the takeaways, yes.
Vijay?
For me, I think I would pick somebody like Tewatia, who doesn't get an opportunity. Nobody knows him. And suddenly people have discovered, oh, he's such a good leg spinner, because he has watched Rashid Khan in action. He's watching him, observing him. So Rashid Khan has been the inspiring figure for all the spinners in this tournament. To me, the best performer, one individual is Rashid Khan, because he has taught you to enjoy your cricket. He has taught you to dominate the batsman, and he smiles. He gets hit, smiles, and then he's willing to bowl in every situation, right? And he's performing match after match. So to me, this inspiring figure of Rashid Khan, he has had an influence on all the leg spinners in this tournament. You look at how Tewatia has improved with every game, how he started off, and now he's bowling with such confidence. He's experimenting in a T20 in 4 overs. He's doing so much of experimentation. Bishnoi is doing it. So to me, I think Rashid Khan has been the influencing and the biggest takeaway for me, at least. I mean, I haven't watched such a wonderful performer for a long, long time.
Right, Vijay, I'm going to give you a different challenge. I'm going to mention a disappointment here. Wanted Rishabh Pant to do really well. I know you would love to speak about it, but I'm going to take the chance and say that he was perhaps the biggest of disappointments for me. Expected a lot from him, expected him to play with his natural flair, but somewhere down the line, either the team management has instructed him to go slow and play uncharacteristic cricket, or he has lost it himself. We don't know what the truth is. We will get to know when he gets to Australia and plays a little bit there. But talking of disappointments, Rakesh and Vijay, who comes to mind when we speak about disappointment in IPL 2020? Rakesh, you go first.
For me, Prithvi Shaw definitely tops the list. I mean, very close to, like Rishabh. Rishabh, of course, we all wanted him to do well. But for me, Prithvi Shaw is one person who is backed by somebody like Ricky Ponting. Last year, I remember, he scored a 99. In 14 innings, I think he had only one big score. But Ponting insisted that, no, he will play every single match and he's going to open. More or less the same thing happened this year. Has he done enough? I mean, we keep talking about, Prithvi Shaw being a great striker. He hits the ball so clean, nice, hard, firm, like ball coming onto the bat. He makes it look good as long as he lasts. But does he really have it in him to play this form of cricket, despite being in the company of somebody like Ricky Ponting, Shreyas Iyer? Still, he's not doing enough.
Vijay?
Very briefly, MS Dhoni, because I expected him to do a lot. He didn't perform with the bat. He tried to inspire the team with his captaincy, which he managed. But as a batsman, he was a big letdown, because I thought he was one man without the team did miss Suresh Raina, Harbhajan Singh, Watson not scoring, Bravo not scoring. But Dhoni, by his standards, by his very high standards, was a big disappointment.
Since you work for a newspaper in Delhi, would you like to go first and tell us what do you think is likely to happen, Mumbai Indians and Delhi Capitals?
Okay. For me, MI can draw a lot of heart from saying that, okay, we have topped. Despite losing the last game, we have topped. Similarly, DC can say, look, despite losing 4 on the trot, we won the last game and we were second. So that means we did a lot of good work. So we have it in us. But when they face each other, a team which has a win behind it and quite a convincing win there, and the other team got mauled badly there. Now, this psychologically, it dents your confidence no matter what you say, how great its side MI is, we all know. But going into this match, I think when it comes to being motivated or that self-belief, MI will be under pressure. Should Rohit come back, and the way he looked yesterday, he looked a bit tired, he looked jaded, didn't look himself. And if you have a captain who's not sure of his abilities, or at least he appears to be so, then that team will struggle. So without Rohit, if they can take the field, which they can, but if that happens, yes, I think MI has a good chance. But if MI is going with Rohit as the captain, they're going with 10.5 players there. But talking about DC, I'm sure will go all out. They have nothing to lose. But DC has that thing to beat MI. Like SRH showed the way, DC can follow it.
Vijay?
But I will say Mumbai Indians, because they will come back strongly. They may look, the winning streak has been broken, but they took the field without Bumrah, Bolt, Pandya. So once they come back, it will be probably the same combination, and they would like to back themselves. And DC, of course, we are Delhi Walas, but I would want Delhi to win. But on paper, the way the trend has gone, Mumbai Indians is very, very strong. And before the game, if you ask me, Mumbai Indians should be there.
Vijay and Rakesh, it is usual for us to bring in a North Stand Gang member to ask us a question. So here is Pranali Kalose asking one about the Mumbai Indians batting.
The curious case of Saurabh Tiwari. He is that one individual who's been carried along a bit by the team itself, especially with the Mumbai batting lineup doing really well. He hasn't done much with the bat except for the very first game of the tournament, wherein he scored 42 against the Chennai Super Kings. A big liability on the field, especially with the kind of fitness that he carries with himself, and considering the huge outfields of Dubai Cricket Stadium. So my question is, can Mumbai Indians bring in an all-round utility player, Jayant Yadav, in place of Saurabh Tiwari for an all-important business end of the tournament, eyeing right from the qualifier 1, which is against the Delhi Capitals?
Great question, Pranali. It is very significant that you could think in terms of building a better balance for the side. Jayant Yadav's off-spin can be useful for the team in the playoffs, and with the pitches slowing down, he can be quite an asset to the side, even though they've got two very good spinners in Rahul Chahar and Krunal Pandya. He might be useful, and I'm sure the Mumbai think tank will think in terms of including him. Because Saurabh Tiwari has not proved himself very useful to the side, I think Mumbai can think in terms of including Jayant Yadav for this big game. On that note, I'm going to say thank you to both of you, Vijay and to Rakesh, for being here today and for sharing your thoughts. Always engaging to be in conversations like this with people who go out and cover a lot of domestic cricket, much more than I can even imagine. Both of you have been there at the grassroots level and have watched a lot of cricket. So it is education for me to hear both of you.
I would love to understand this IPL formula from Rakesh Rao one day, not on this show. All these years I have picked his brains, but I still have not been able to understand. So someday I will sit with him and understand this intricate pattern of IPL.
Vijay, you can resume that picking of brains anytime you feel like. That will be a pleasure to be of any help. Let me know.
I think, Vijay, you need to start learning chess. Rakesh pointed out that this came to him from a chess grandmaster.
Yes.
This thing about patterns and this whole ability to study patterns and then memorize them. Rakesh has been a chess player himself, so I guess it comes naturally to him. I've always believed that any sport is a battle between individuals or between managers, and it is a game of chess that they play with the cricketers or the football players being merely pawns at the hands of the captain or of the manager. Has been interesting. Thank you very much, guys, and you have a wonderful day today.
Thank you so much, Raj, for having us. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, it was wonderful.